Welcome back. I'm Rob Lang and this is my game Clomper. You live inside a mechanical ladybird called a Clomper, which you control by making pipes to power machines with steam. The outside world is a hellscape, which you explore from inside the Clomper, gathering resources and completing quests. That sounds like fun? Go Wishlist on Steam. It's devlog 70, and in this one we're going to be putting VFX on everything and tidying up a whole bunch of graphics that I've been kind of putting off for a while, but I can't put off any longer. They've got to get done, and now is the time. The first screamingly obvious change that I've made to Clomper is the lighting. Now, for those of you who've been watching a lot, you might be looking at this thinking, it's a bit dark. You might be turning up the contrast and the brightness on your monitor. Don't adjust your sets. Do not adjust any monitors. Don't adjust your set like it's 1982. Do not adjust anything. It is supposed to be dark. So now the Clomper is off. Everything is off. There's no steam coming from anywhere. Therefore, it's dark. It's a bit dark. It's a bit more moody. You can still see enough to go on. It's actually slightly better on my monitor than it is on YouTube. I don't know why YouTube does that. It always makes things look a little darker. But everything's a bit dark at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spawn in some pipes using the load system, and then you'll see it brighten up. This is like the most power out of the boilers, means the most brightness. So if I clear all the pipes, well, that's weird. So the boilers haven't reduced. Okay. Let's say I don't do that, and let's say I set the boilers to 0 and it's dark. Boilers to 10. Ooh, I've just seen an error. That's interesting. Let's close that and pretend that didn't happen. Just edit that out. Okay, so if I go boiler 10, it's super bright. If I go boiler 0, if I can write boiler, then it goes dark. So you know how much boilerness is coming out intrinsically by how dark it is in there. That was the first thing I did. Been wanting to do that for ages. Wasn't particularly difficult to do. Right, next thing I did was the inventory. Let's not mention the inventory. What? Form callback of what? Show inventory? Object not set to an inventory? There's a bug there. I just made it look nicer. This is high quality software. I've made some changes to the handles. Beforehand they were sort of plasticky looking, but now they're all shiny and metallic. And that's because in the shader, I hadn't set the metallic up correctly for red. So that looks rather good. I've also updated the shader so there's a bit of a Fresnel rather than it going super, super bright. There was a side effect to this though. The Clomper itself is also red. It's using the same shader. So it's also really shiny. I quite like this. I quite liked it before, but I do like shiny Clomper. Shiny. So shiny. When I redid the pipes recently, I actually lost a little bit of detail that I've been missing. You can see this grey ring that runs around the pipe here and runs around the pipe there. That disappeared off and meant that the handles sort of just went straight into the top of the pipe without having a nice little kind of bevel. I'm not going to record this again, so just do your worst, edit me, like he does anything else. I also threw a little bit of do-tween at the tool, so when you select different items on the tool, they move slowly. I can't talk today. They don't always turn the same way, depending on which one's selected. No, they're sort of random, which is interesting. I'll figure that out. I don't think I actually care. I think I quite like it. Now this bug is a little bit difficult to see, but it has everything to do with the feet on the Clomper. You're looking at an old build now, and as you can see, this foot, if I just clip through the ground, you can see this foot is not quite flat on the ground. Do you see? It's sort of at a weird angle, it's slightly clipping into the ground, and it should be flat. And I fixed that. And the reason for this is that I constrained the kinematics so it couldn't rotate in the y-axis, which kind of made sense to me at the time, but looking back was a silly idea. Don't constrain the IK unless you really know what's going to happen. And here it is fixed. They're all beautifully flat, and each leg is independent, so as it goes over the top, each one will still be flat. Now I can't leave these little fellows well enough alone, so in this devlog I've added some sparks to their jump, so when they hit the ground or if they hit a wall or anything, sparks come out wherever they landed. Also when you pick them up, a few sparks come out, and if you give them a pet, a whole bunch of sparks come out. They love that, as they're so happy little fellas. Now Saul from Games by Saul, go check out his YouTube channel. It's brilliant. He's a proper game developer working for an actual proper game development company rather than the stuff that I do. And he suggested that you should be able to throw them when you pick them up. What a brilliant idea! So now, with the right mouse button, you can throw them. Whee! Off it goes. And you see it hits spikes. If it bounces off the walls, they bounce off the right location. Oh, let's try again. Come here. I think if they jump when they're in mid-air, they sort of negate the fact you've thrown them, but that's okay. Whee! Boink. There you go. Really love that. Now, doing that then brought about the idea, well, you could throw them back into the boiler. Beforehand, you had to walk up to the boiler and then click kind of go. Whereas now, you can just walk up to the boiler and they'll go boop and they'll pop inside. There's no noise for that yet. There will be. So I make my own. You can make all your own noises in games. They're so much more fun that way. But you can also throw them in. No. 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 First try! So they can put themselves back in. So if you're just wandering around here and you're just trying to get them all back, you don't have to run backwards and forwards. You go, oi, you go down that way. Oi, go over there. What are you doing over here? Stop messing with the lift. Go over here. And then once they're all back in roughly the right place, you can then go, right, you're going in there. You're going in that one. You're going in that one. You can sort them out. It's so much easier. It's a great idea. Go in! Why aren't you going in? Uh-oh, we got a bug? Might have a bug. Ooh. I don't want to go back in the boiler. Fine, don't go back in the boiler then. See if I care. The fire sprites weren't the only things to get some VFX love in this update. The valve handles here, they let out a bit of steam whenever you raise them. The same with the switch over there and the boiler handles too. The map here, when you switch it on, it has a bit of steam that comes up. And the same kind of deal with the periscope over here. Just a bit of steam to show you that something is happening. For the lift, there are two types of steam. One when it goes down, another one when it comes up. And you see it's this cloud of steam that comes up alongside anything that you've picked up from the outside, which I really like. The legs have also had some work, and I've wanted to do this for a long time. When the gear moves up, there's a puff of steam, and whenever the gears mesh, there's some sparks. Just a few, just to give you an idea that there's something mechanical going on. Now the grinder over here has really needed some VFX since it was made. And I've got them in now. So when it's running normally, you get a few little random sparks every so often and some steam when it switches on. But it's when you go and grind something, that's where the fun begins. Look at all of that. Compare this to how it was before. Much better. The eagle-eyed amongst you will already notice that the boilers have had some extra VFX too. Just under normal operation here, they have a whole bunch of steam coming out of them, depending on how much steam you've got coming out of the boiler on the handle here. And when they get really, really hot, you get this extra halo of steam right round the outside, and that gets more and more and more until it explodes. And the boiler explosion has also got a little bit bigger, sparkier. All the damage animations I showed you in the last video have also had an update. The best way to show that is just blowing everything up in one go, using a console command. There's sparks that came out of everywhere, and now when you look at a machine, it's shrouded in this sort of dark smoke, which is very much like the steam, just a bit blacker. You have sparks coming out of things. Oh, it really looks like everything is completely broken. And the same with the boilers there. They're still steaming because they're a little bit hot still, but otherwise they would go completely dark. But you see the legs there have got some sparks coming down, steam coming out of them. Yeah, it looks so much better like this now that it's damaged. And it's darker too, because none of the boilers are running. Clever, eh? I'm so impressed by myself. I made the lights darker. It's not exactly rocket science. I've also been experimenting with fog. Here you can see a test scene which uses colour rather than white fog, and it's a bit easier to see the problems that I had. This is a simple full screen shader that uses the depth buffer to give me some fog, but unfortunately it doesn't work very well with transparency, and you can see that when I look down towards the floor. Unfortunately, it's just not going to work this way. I need volumetric fog, I need things to be lit correctly, otherwise it looks weird. I'm sure that's doable and there will be an asset available, it's just that I can't afford it right now, so I'll come back to that later. There is one outstanding issue that I don't know if I need to solve it for the alpha, beta or even the demo, and that's that once you've built your pipe network, you don't really need to change it. Sure, if you hit a wall and it all explodes, then you have to repair it, but you could repair it exactly the same as it was before. You don't need to change anything. This Clomper setup I have here, which is kind of my simplest one, well, I could drive around and do quests all day without ever having to change it. So that means that the core mechanic of putting down pipes, which is fun, you do it once, you get it right, you're happy with your network, and then you don't do it again. And that is a problem. And to be fair, it was a problem that my friends pointed out many years ago, but I've been putting off fixing it. Now there are two features that I've not yet put in that might entice you to change your pipe network, but aren't really necessary. One is pipe maintenance, where just clomping along all your pipes gets slightly damaged over time and you have to fix them. It's busy work, some people like that, and it does add to the feel of the Clomper being alive, but you will be able to turn that off. The other one is pipe blueprints that would be scattered around the world in scrap, and as you pick them up you'll find pipes that make it easier to turn certain corners or fill a certain need, or make that pipe network particularly bonkers. Again, you don't really need that. The pipes that you can see here on the tool, straight, the bend, the T, the valve and the switch, are all you really need, and arguably you don't really need all of those. So I've got 3 ideas to help keep the core mechanicking. Is that even a phrase? I don't know, I'm running with it. You're clomping across the landscape and something falls from the sky or rolls out from the side where you don't see it, hits the Clomper and embeds itself in as a really big lump of cog or piston or all sorts of things that could be. And it's in the way and you have to pipe round it. You can't just fix it like you can the machines, you need to go somewhere and have it removed. So for that, I need environmental damage and I need a new place in the environment for you to go and get fixed for big things, not little things. That's quite a lot of work, and I'm not really keen on doing that one for the alpha or the demo. I do want to do it though, because I think that would be excellent, but it needs to come along with other environment updates. The second idea might be a little bit annoying. You're clomping along and the Clomper starts to evolve, starts to change its insides. Now I wouldn't necessarily move the machines around, but I certainly would move these steam ports. Maybe this one could go up there, or maybe the map one, this one disappears, or this one disappears, or maybe the con one moves over to the other side. I mean, you could move them all around all over the place. I'd probably do the same with the boilers, although there's fewer options here because, well, it just looks really good there at the bottom, but it could easily go to the top. That could be quite funny. Also, could be quite annoying. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. I think it might be quite frustrating. The third idea is that the Clomper has systems outside of the room that need feeding with steam every so often. This is probably the least amount of work as well. So imagine it, you're clomping along trying to do your mission and an alarm goes off and a new port opens up in the wall, the ceiling or the floor. Now you need to feed that new steam port with steam until some kind of indicator fills up. If you don't, then the Clomper is going to start behaving weirdly. It might randomly shut off systems, or the boilers might have less power coming out of them, or the map reduces its range, or the periscope can't see so far or can't turn. Sure, you can ignore them, but then there'll be more of them, and if you ignore them a lot, the Clomper may be extremely hard to maneuver. I think this is probably the best way, because once you've filled up that particular port with steam and it's done and you've fixed it, it disappears until the next one comes along. So those are the 3 ideas. What do you think? And if you have a better idea, something that could cause the player to rebuild their pipe network, then please do give us a shout down in the comments. It's been 5 years since I had the idea for Clomper, and yet I'm not quite done yet. Get a move on, Lang! Here's the original design document as it was. The whole idea was to create a game for me and my friends to play on a Sunday night. And while I definitely succeeded in that, the design and aims of Clomper changed over time. Now, I didn't start the devlog series until the following November, so we can enjoy that 5-year anniversary soon. I'm up to 568 wishlists on Steam, which is astounding. 568 people have hit that button, and that's amazing. So thank you very much if you have, and if you haven't, link is down below in the description, as of course it always is. Join us over on Discord for a bit more of the chat, and I'm also making TikToks now. So yeah, that's a thing. Thank you so much for getting through to the end. If you liked it, hit the button. If you want to see more, then subscribe. I'm still making them. And until next time, bye bye.